All right, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome, wherever you are. We're going to be getting started here very shortly with this All-Star Tournament by Lucy. So, just to give you a quick rundown of the way things are working today. We are going off of replays, but for a quick summary, concept is it's a tabletop-style tournament with a special rule set that encourages fun and interactive armies, less of a particular style, right? Importantly, no flying missile units. There's at least 8 melee infantry units or 3.4 thousand gold. And only one rare single entity worth more, 1,500 gold and above. So, yeah, mostly just encouraged to have fun armies, less, mobility, like spam, less single entity spam, more kind of structured armies, and tabletop style, I'm assuming means they all had to submit their lists beforehand. But let's start on in, also the structure, just real quick. There's 2 groups. I'm going to be streaming the first group, and then Human Boy is going to be streaming the second group after. Each group has 3 clan teams, and each of those clan teams will face off against each other. So we're going to jump in first with XMT versus NC. So let's switch on over to that. Oh, not that one. Okay, not that one either. Oh, what am I doing? Here we go. Yeah, we're not actually using the scoreboard today because I didn't have time to set it up. Been a little bit slammed this weekend, but yeah, here we are. So, nope, not that. Okay, a little bit of technical issues here. Let's do this and do that. Okay, I think we're all good. Now, we'll be getting started here. Actually, with all the fluffing about, didn't check. I think this is from XMT's perspective. We'll see after the fact, the clan and the players, but let's just assume for the time being that this is XMT. We've got Azazel flying up through the sky, front line of Marauders, great weapons on the side here with Rotting Riders. This is going to be the Warriors of Chaos. Slaughter Guard, Chosen of Khorne. We've got a Metal Mage as well, and some Marauder Horse Masters. So, very interesting build. I do like quite a bit of elements here. You've got still some elites to be able to clean up in various areas. We've got some Horned ones here. Croc, Gar, Lord Croak. To detonate plenty of things. Star Chamber Guardians and Source Spears and Shields to form a nice, dense, and relatively small and tall Lizardmen army here. Let's see how things progress. Rotting Riders going to get ready to get in on these cold ones. You see there the vein being used. Going to do a massive amount of damage and also pull Horned ones. Ooh, yeah, they actually noped out of that. They probably should have just taken that charge, to be honest. They had the charge on the Rotting Riders. Rotting Riders didn't have a charge order, so they could have got a pretty good engagement there, but instead they actually pull away with the Cold-Blooded at the last second. That leads to Krokgar kind of getting caught up a little bit here. We are going to get a detonation from Lord Croak to try and blow up some of these Rotting Riders. Let's check the damage on that. Krokgar is definitely taking a beating, though. It does take quite a while for that spell to develop. It's going to do some good damage for sure, but it's not a super efficient trade right now for the Lizardmen, especially considering how much value is kind of stacked up here. The Slaughter Guard also, I mean, look, Croak's going to have to get to work on them and probably put a few spells into them because of their spell resistance, but they're definitely going to be very dangerous. There's nothing really here for the Lizardmen that can kill them in melee, so let's see about this. Rotting Riders continuing to get caught. Yeah, there's Engine of the Gods, actually. Can do some AoE damage here as well, I guess, to those Slaughter Guard. And maybe stacked on top of the Saurus, it's enough, although they're probably still going to take quite a bit of damage. Little Hand of the Gods there. It doesn't do too much, but Azazel is just eating Krokgar's lunch right now. It is really quite one-sided. We see a nice Plague of Rust there, down at 36 armor on those Horned ones. They're not exhausted already, are they? Wow, they are exhausted already. Very interesting. Yeah, the other Horned ones trying to get away. But they do manage to finish the Rotting Riders there and actually shatter them. Azazel pops back up into the air. Slaughter Guard here just absolutely mowing through Saurus. Yeah, I mean, 63 melee defense against 20 melee attack. It's definitely not going to be enough. But we do get the Engine of the Gods spooling up. Looks like it's going to take an orbital bombardment shot. Unfortunately, again, it's pretty long wind-up time. Slaughter Guard are able to actually kind of pull the Saurus into it, so it ends up being a kind of a net negative there for the Lizardmen. But the Marauder Horsemen now, Horse Masters even, using their melee stats and their javelins to just finish off the horned ones here. As Krokar's also under threat, might just get full sniped here. But we've got some Marauder Horse Masters. Yeah, these ones also pull up nice position to throw their javelins at Lord Croak. Single entities for Lizardmen are quite scary, but the Slaughter Guard are still basically not quite full capacity. They've taken some losses, but they'll be able to clean up this engagement no problem. With plenty of power left, I would imagine, to take down what's left. That being said, the balance of power is slightly in the Lizardmen's favor right now, as they get a few picks on some units. But again, swiftness of Itzel, saving Krokar. He pops cold-blooded on himself to stop the rampage of the Pavane. Able to get himself to safety here. This is exactly what the Lizardmen need to do. Stack up with all their single entities, fight on top of the Temple Guard, and just try and outlast as much as they can. Keep things nice and tight, but Zazel's coming in. Speed should be able to be coming here and snipe out some units, but it looks like Lizardmen might just be going straight after the Slaughter Guard, just trying to stack up all their value while it's available. Oh, sorry. Which makes sense to a degree, but, I mean, it's just going to force the critical engagement, basically, in the late game, so let's see how it goes. Slaughter Guard holding. Stegodon charges in. Azazel also. Did he eat that Hand of the Gods to the face? Nope, looks like it didn't do much damage. Instead, Krokar gets rear charge there. Slaughter Guard actually just pulling away, yeah, as the detonation goes. Pizza delivery. Actually going to do some pretty good damage. I don't know. Slaughter Guard might not be able to outlast all this. They do have plenty of support nearby. Marauder Horsemen throwing their javelins, trying to finish off Croak. Krokar also getting terror routed here and finished off by Azazel. Azazel can then come in and help clean up these single entities. In particular, try and kill Croak so that the Slaughter Guard can just massacre the Stegodon, which they are going to start to do, especially in a full surround now. As the Stegodon kind of pushes up out of its own support. The Temple Guard are still in contact here, and they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, but yeah, we're going to see some more Marauders getting detonated here, just try and clear out some of that support. Definitely makes sense. Slaughter Guard might not be able to hold. Yeah, it does look like they're indeed going to terror route here. Balance power is a little bit in Chaos' favor, although definitely staying pretty even overall. Ooh, Croak goes down, though. That is a big loss. Now Azazel, with plenty of ground forces left, should be able to cycle charge the Stegodon to death. Temple Guard going to make a valiant last stand here, but yeah, you see the javelins flying in. Some damage going to be repelled by the armor, but that exhaustion kicking in is definitely hurting. The Engine of the Gods here. And the Horsemasters also quite capable units in the late game with their stats. This one also somehow is fresh, which means, yeah, they're all around going to be pretty good. Unfortunately, they do get caught flat-footed there by those Saurus Spears. There's also a Saurus Spear that's way off, overchased some units into the white line, which is unfortunate for the Lizardmen. They definitely could have used those extra bodies to help this engagement, and it definitely would have helped. But, yeah, at this point, Azazel's stats are so strong that I don't think... Yeah, I think he's probably just going to carry against the Ancient Stegodon here. I really don't see it surviving this engagement. Let's see. Slaughter Guard also coming back with a decent amount of models and leadership. Yeah, Stegodon breaks there. Star Chamber Guardians are going to be the last thing standing. And those other Saurus Spears going for a hike are going to get army lost, I would imagine. Maybe not, actually. Looks like they're still standing. Nope, yep, they do get army lost. Okay. So, a nice victory for Warriors of Chaos, showcasing a nice mixed build. No Tzeentchian tricks, which is nice, although I guess you could maybe softly consider Lord Metal Tzeentch. But, yeah, Metal Sorcerer, I don't even see what happened to him. He just got absolutely sniped at some point. But they had some nice Plagues of Rust. Azazel gets really good value in a single entity fight. Slaughter Guard also end up paying for themselves. Just such a capable unit all the way around. And then Marauder Horsemasters, definitely in the given the small build here for Stormrunner. Okay, so it looks like we were actually on NC's team there with Kaiju, but yeah, Stormrunner just not really having anything that could really counter the Horse Masters. Didn't really have any range damage. Mobility was fairly limited, so yeah, the Horse Masters are able to just feast in this game. So yeah, on the Lizardmen side, Horned Ones definitely had a respectable performance. Definitely one of them paying for themselves. Engine of the Gods, you'd like to have a little bit more out of that. Same thing, just in general on the rest of these single entities. But anyway, I'll go ahead and switch the screens here. And let's move on to the next one. Game 2, it is a best of 3 series. So if NC wins this one, then they will win the series. But let's see. We've got Shogunnik versus Inkars, and we are once again going to be on NC's perspective. We got Skaven versus Greenskins, so it's going to be the under battle, if you will. Yeah, it looks like Night Runners, Clan Rat Spears, Poisoned Wind Globadiers, Rat Ogres, Warplock Giselles, Council Guard, Regiment of Renown, and a Great Seer of Plague on the bell. Wurzag immediately going to get sniped at, but he's got the Acid Burpa to back him up. Crimson Killers as well, so a few elites. Swamp Things for additional terror. Squig Hoppers. Biggins out on the flanks in the center. Just a couple of goblins. And Orc Warboy Biggins. So kind of a weak initial center, but a strong follow-up. And Wurzag here to have some fun. Let's see if we're going to get some Mumbo Jumbo chance. Looks like he did not bring it. Just more of a classic kit with Here We Go, Brain Burst, the effigy to get. Does have no Bonewood Staff, actually. Just Squiggly Beast. Okay, so pretty cheap kit, actually, for Wurzag. Kind of makes sense to a degree, but he does burn one effigy to get to just shred these Night Runners, which, you know, 500 cost unit. Also a nice little Brain Burst there on the Poison Wind Globes, and he himself is going to charge in, eat some globes, and then probably try and interrupt them. Keep them from just savaging these boars. Yeah, it does look like he gets the interrupt there. See the Poison Wind effect just, excuse me, kicking off on my lungs and all across the battlefield. Doing some massive damage. Boarboy Biggins, it's a pretty expensive unit to be getting shredded like that, but Acid Burpa is able to pull on through, and immediately, within just a few seconds, all 4 of the Globadiers have been compromised. And that's going to be really nice for the Green Tide to try and shut down those weapons teams. That's a big portion of the killing power of the Skaven army. Fortunately, this one Biggin did get taken out. Summon Clan Rats, Night Runners able to work in tandem, and with some magic, no doubt, from the Greys here. But Terror kicking in here as the Acid Burpa just absolutely YOLOs itself through. It is taking some pretty good damage in the process as well. But Here We Go being popped. Really nice melee attack buff on all these units. Wurzag himself. The Acid Burpa all doing some pretty good work, but there's a situation potentially where the Acid Burpa and Wurzag go 2v1 on the Greyseer here, and that could be quite bad, but Green Tide is running out of steam to a degree. Stormvermin Halberds here. Yeah, that was a huge detonation on the Skins advance, but, I mean, it is Crimson Killers. They're going to hold their ground for the time being. They did activate the Unstoppable Choppas for less melee defense, which means they're going to be taking quite a bit of damage in this process, but, I mean, other than the Rat Ogres, they're really mostly against defensive units here, and the Council Guard, Stormvermin, so that lowered melee defense actually won't hurt them as much as you might think. Other engagements. Biggins also get clean match on a Rat Ogre here. That's a beautiful engagement for them. And the Acid Burpa also supporting Crimson Killers, even though it is fighting anti-large units, because it has some support here. It won't be getting, you know, fully surrounded. Also using its acid AoE to really nice effect here to damage those Council Guard. And actually leads to the regular Stormvermin getting terror routed due to leadership debuffs and everything. So yeah, Crimson Killer is able to hold that engagement. And quite nicely. He's never in planes. He's in cars. Haha. He's never in trains. He's in cars. Or if he is in cars, he's in cars, in trains, in planes, in boats. You know what I mean? Anyway, yes. Yeah, that is a pretty nice break right there. Acid Burp is still alive, although it is eating the remainder of these Night Runner shots here. We've also got some conga lines, routing units going all over the place. It is Greenskins against Skaven after all. But yeah, Crimson Killers, they managed to just hold it and pretty much win. Yeah, it's mostly just the Gracier being quite healthy at this point. Wurzag also has managed to stay unsniped, which is nice for him. Not always totally possible, but Skaven have a pretty good force to try and get back in this. Little brain burster there to do some damage. And yeah, one unit of globes here is going to be dangerous. Another one there. Yeah, those globes out in open space. We got to have something that can clean them up. Swamp Thing should come back here and take that one out. Just as Wurzag's trying to interrupt this one here. Gracier's got other ideas, but honestly, Wurzag juiced up. Could take this Gracier no problem. We see the summoned Skaven just all drop dead there. Still kind of a funny mechanic how that works, but anyway. Acid Burpa does get routed here, but Biggins are in the local area, as are some Squig Hoppers. Oh yeah, it doesn't look like the Swamp Things actually were noticed in time. They're going to eat some of that Poison Wind damage. But let's see. Try to get those globes to bear on the Crimson Killers. Not able to, as Wurzag is quite persistent. Chasing them down, DPSing their unit models. Another nice brain burster there, just taking out those Clan Rat Spears, trying to free up his units. Go after more higher value targets. We're going to see a little Warp Lightning. Should do some okay damage, or no, actually. Ah, he overcasted it to get the Sword and Shield Storm Vermin. Wow, and that's victory? Really? Hang on. Is that right? Was it? Hang on, is it best of 3 or best of 5? I'm very confused. Hang on 1 second. Or did I just... Hang on. Yeah, maybe. It's definitely possible. I do have a third game here, so I honestly have no idea, but we're going to watch it. Yeah, we got a game here between Strat Game and Goji. So I don't know. Maybe these were actually sent to me out of order. I just am showcasing them in the order that they were numbered when they were sent to me. But it's definitely possible that this game was supposed to be maybe in the middle of those two. I don't know. Actually didn't take the time to watch through every single replay before the stream, and I definitely should have, I guess. But anyway, yeah, we've got Dark Elves here versus the Ogres, which is quite the matchup. Ogres is going to be pretty interesting here. We've got Iron Guts and Bulls. Front line, a single Lead Belters, Gnoblars. Looks like Sky Striders, Great Weapons, Blood Vultures, Butcher of Death, very interesting, and Old Gold Bag. Yeah, looks like we've got some Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, Old One Knights in the back, some more Dark Shards, and yeah. That's basically it. It's a Dark Elf army. That's not not a lot to say about it, honestly. But Lead Belters get a little wild here. They're actually going to come forward and take a big old volley at these Dark Riders, just as the Gnoblars here eat a breath attack. I mean, yeah, you got to spend the breath attacks on something, I guess, but I really think it'd be better saved to just... yeah, try and line it up on one of these bulls or something once they're engaged. I mean, there's not really, like, great targets for breaths against Ogres generally, but I don't know. 200 cost Gnoblar, I don't think is it, but maybe I'm wrong. Dark Elves do follow up with some stuff here, and yeah, we've got some Bleak Swords, and Dread Spears filtering in on the side, Hellbroni, Dark Riders trying to make their attack. Goji's defense holding firm in the center so far. Does have a few different kind of layers to work with here, so if we take kind of his backline POV here. Threats are developing. Sky Striders right now probably should detach and go after this big force of Cold One Knights. Let's see, they're going to rush these Iron Guts right here. Should be a very good engagement for them. The Sky Striders do detach. Will they be able to get there in time before Iron Guts actually pop? We do see some traps from the Gnoblars, right? Or Dismember actually being used there. Make sure those units do stay locked in. Iron Guts manage to hold. When the Sky Striders arrive, they're going to help stabilize that engagement. But Leadbelcher's being pressured through. Frontline engagement, actually kind of a mixed bag. Ogres are winning in some instances, with the Bulls just able to outtrade Dark Elf Infantry. In other instances, they're getting blasted by Dark Shards. Yeah, look at that Bull just get shredded by Focus Fire. So, still anyone's game for sure. Golbag himself is going to be a force to be reckoned with as he tries to get in against the Supreme Sorceress. But Sky Striders pulling back slightly. We do get Murderous Prowess popping off at a pretty opportune time. Although the charge bonus is going to be hard to take advantage against the Ogre's speed. But more Cold One Knights lining up. Try and finish off these Iron Guts, who have managed to stick around for an alarmingly long amount of time, considering they're like 3x on value in that engagement. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, let's see. The Leadbelcher's continuing to turn, shoot whatever threats develop. Really nice side shot opportunity as the Sky Striders come in for a crushing charge there. I am very surprised. I guess Elven leadership, that unit is managing to still hold, but another breath attack going to land here. At least it's being used to do some damage. It's better than just forgetting about it, I guess, which is often something I do. But Golbag also isolated here. Dragon might just drop down and try and finish him off, which is going to be quite dangerous. But the Sky Striders are alive. Plenty of HP on them still. They're going to come in, try and finish those Cold One Knights. We see a little Flock of Doom here from the Supreme Sorceress of Beasts. Spirit Leech on her. I wonder, was there no healing roll as well? Must have missed that. But yeah, those Dark Shards, man, so dangerous in a situation like this where they are not being properly interrupted. They're able to just fire unimpeded. Massive DPS into the Sky Striders. Yeah, those Leadbelchers really need to start focusing down the Dark Shards. Granted, it is going to be a little bit of a kite game for them because they outrange the Dark Shards. Going to have to keep moving, shooting and moving. But looks like right now Golbag is holding his own against the Supreme Sorceress here. She is trying to do her best to cycle charge, especially with the anti-large cavalry support, but a little bit dangerous. Can actually get a 2v1 here, and this Butcher has plenty of armor-piercing damage and pretty good stats. He can contribute quite well, but right now he's actually running after the Dark Shards. It's going to leave Golbag out to dry, and it looks like he does get killed on the charge there, maybe. Doesn't he have a self-heal? Yeah, I guess only if enemies are not within range. I forget about the conditions of that. Yeah, and right at that moment, the Leadbelcher's getting caught. Somehow the balance of power is in Ogre's favor, though. I guess because these Sky Striders are eating a meat feast right there. That might be enough. You know, can't get rid of the Ogre's army heal, even if you do ban, like, Lord Magic healing. Let's see if it's enough. They restored a massive amount of HP there. We're going to get in. Noblars are able to tie down those Dark Shards, at least somewhat. Little Flock of Doom. Supreme Sorceress charges. Oh, yeah. We're going to see a Dismember on her, so she's not able to pull away. She takes a few huge hits. Oh, man, if she goes down right here, that could honestly turn things all the way around. If she actually gets fully felled, but I don't think she will. It looks like she's going to extricate herself. The Sky Striders actually tear her out, and it's an absolute disaster for the Ogres. I think that was the key to victory right there. Could have gone to the Ogres, but I don't know at this point if they're going to be able to stabilize things and pull it out. Cold One Knights. Yeah, they're eating a little bit of friendly damage as they pursue, but Supreme Sorceress also extremely low right now as well. If the Deathcaster comes back and gets like one cheeky Overcast Spirit Leech, he could honestly finish her off. Maybe salvage things, but it looks like army losses are closing in imminently, and I don't know if there's like some desyncing or what's going on exactly with the structuring of the replays, but that's fine. I guess NC takes a 3-0 victory over XMT according to these replays, which is definitely fine, you know, definitely happens from time to time, but Strat Game doing a really nice job focusing with his crossbows, making sure to keep them in a good kind of arc. Not overstacking them, but generally picking the right targets at the right time and just efficiently focusing down. Cold One Knights also showing their newfound power and able to actually hold their own in engagements where previously they'd have just gotten completely crushed. Yeah, for Goji here, a little bit of a tough draw. I mean, the Leadbelchers definitely did fairly well. I don't know, maybe would have liked to have had one more of them, but would have been tough to protect for sure. So, Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Lore of Death also pretty good. I don't know if he had Fate of Yun. I didn't catch if he was casting it a ton. Would have been nice, perhaps, if he did have it to nuke some of those Cold One Knights. But I'm guessing he didn't, or he probably would have, right? I think he was probably just spamming Spirit Leech on the dragon. But, yeah, interesting one for sure. Let's go ahead, and we'll jump into the next series. We've got NC versus VM. And I've only got 2 for this one, so... Get a quick drink of water there. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on with the structuring of the replays, honestly. But hopefully you all are enjoying. Hopefully you all are having a good weekend out there. Whoever's here watching now or after the fact. Some good battles in. And yeah, hopefully, and once in a while, get streaming. I'm trying to do like every other week, maybe. Let's start with that as a goal for the month of February. Yeah, then maybe we can start doing once a week and maybe more often. Would you guys be interested in me playing Civ 7? And Wicked's here in chat, I know. He's a Civ enjoyer. Been talking to some different people in XMT, and definitely gonna jump into Civ 7 once it's out. I think the, like, early access, whatever, starts soon. But is that something you guys would be interested in playing? I know the Civ 7 multiplayer, I haven't looked into too much, but assuming it's, you know, has an expedited mode, sort of a fast version like what Civ 6 had, I think it actually could be something that we could maybe do on stream, maybe with some of the XMT NC lads. But anyway, Azazel here once again. We've got this Warriors of Chaos build. I think since tabletop tournament, it's the same build, right? Since it was pre-submitted. And for Khorne here, we've got Valkyria the Bloody, Marauder Horsemen of Khorne with throwing axes. Marauders of Khorne, Hellforged Host. Yeah, Bloodletters. Throwing axes. We've got some Minotaurs here, Chaos Furies. So it's pretty all-in melee build with your anti-infantry, anti-larged, skull cannon, just the regular. I think the Hellforged Bellowers is probably banned in this format. Turin's gonna play. Oh, nice. I hadn't actually talked to Turin about Civ 6, but I will say I really enjoyed Turin's Bannerlord streams recently. It actually like made me want to reinstall and play Bannerlord. I'm not going to because Civ 7's coming out and nobody got time for anything else. Except, of course, we'll still be bringing you Warhammer content in the meantime. But yeah, man, that Mountain Blade Bannerlord, rather, the Warhammer mod, definitely got to jump in and play that at some point. You know, maybe after I get my fill of Civ 7 sometime in the spring, I'll do a playthrough on stream of that. But it's so good, so well made. But yeah, I'll have to talk to him. Maybe we can get a big community thing going. Maybe host some tournaments and stuff. I know Civ 7 has its own multiplayer community, which I don't really know anything about, but certainly would be happy to learn, get to know new people. Always a good time. But right now, both players doing a nice kind of skirmish phase. Finally, the two anti-large elites are going to clash head-to-head. I don't know. I think the Minotaurs actually got the much better engagement. Rotting Riders didn't have a correct charge order there. They are going to be forced back, but both players just contesting. Hellforged Hosts get in to start carving up the front line. Yeah, see the invulnerability. Valkyria hunting down her DLC mate as Azazel tries to squeak away. Rotting Riders continuing to challenge. They're going to run up and get run on by two Minotaurs of Khorne. So again, just kind of noping out of that engagement. Both players playing very conservatively. They've got all their range resources stacked up, firing into the critical engagement. Definitely both players showing their skill right now, but Hellforged Host just slowly but surely cleaning up, and oh, this is bad. Oh, this is really, really bad. I mean, I'm sure Khorne is quite happy. You know, his elites just slaughtering each other in glorious bloodshed. But yeah, for the Slaughter Guard, this is like a worst case scenario. They're against the best anti-infantry in the game, and they're just getting absolutely shredded. I say that. I mean, I think Wrathmongers are probably technically better, but as specialists, Hellforged Hosts are really, really hard to beat. And you can see that the Slaughter Guard, that might have been one of the fastest I've ever seen them die when they just run into an engagement. But yeah, we've got Valkia dropping. Gonna contact the Metal Mage there. And yeah, Demon Blade, Temptator, Chaos Sorcerer of Metal. Let's see here. Yeah, Temptator, damage reflection, damage resistance will help a little bit, but Azazel is pretty overmatched here, although Terror kicking in, Marauder Horseman of Khorne route and his own horsemen are going to come in to replace. Yeah, he still took a lot of damage in that engagement. Probably a lot more than he wanted to, but let's see. Yeah, looks like Rotting Riders starting to lose out. Unfortunately, Warriors of Chaos came... I mean, they had some kite elements for sure, but Khorne is the melee faction, and they are at their best right now, better than they've ever been in the past. So I do think this is probably a matchup for Warriors of Chaos that's pretty tough. I mean, I was just thinking about it. There's maybe some things you can do, and maybe some of the variety actually helps, but just generally I would say, given that both are kind of very melee-centric factions, Khorne generally just has a clear advantage in that way. The units have access to are some of the same, but the key differences like Furies and Bloodletters actually, and Skull Cannons, demonic units do make a huge difference, honestly, for Khorne. So I do kind of like that the Monogods, even though they have a similar identity in that maybe besides Tzeentch, they're the most unique. They're all sort of melee rush factions, but the nuances of each of them and kind of the different ways they interact, it makes it interesting and different, you know. I'm glad they're all represented the way they are in game, honestly. I know before Warhammer 3 there was a lot of speculation and questions about how these factions would end up being represented, and personally I'm glad that we have like monogods for each with combined demons and warriors, and then demons and warriors separately, like all together, basically, right? Does that make sense? Anyway, Berserk takes home the win there. Very nicely done. Very strong player. I've seen him play quite a few times over the past year or so, and more, honestly. He's been around for a while, but yeah, definitely been on a killing spree lately, and that continues with this Khorne build here. For Kaiju, yeah, just unfortunately getting overwhelmed. Had a few key, like, really bad engagements. Although initially he was doing some nice counter-skirmishing and kind of picking things out, Berserk ended up just getting the engagements he needed. So, definitely a fun one, and well played to both players. Let's go ahead and jump to the next replay. We've got Shogunix Skaven Horde versus VM Freeman's War Wagons of the Empire. Yeah, looks like a Master Engineer. We've got Metal and Life. 3 War Wagons. 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun. 1 regular Empire Knight. Got a Sniper. The Long Rifles. Spearmen. Spearmen with shields. And some Halberdiers. So, yeah, this is a format, actually, where Skaven are probably very good, because Skaven might actually be S tier specifically in this format, because they have, like, some of the best infantry killing tools in the game. Like, historically, famously, especially certain matchups, I have been advised by, like, faction mains that they rarely take infantry. Yeah. Yeah, the way that Skaven can just punish your infantry, I really think that they're, like, probably S tier in this specific format because of that. But Globadiers, situation like this can be pretty tough. Empire doesn't really have a ton of their own artillery or anything to try and counter pressure. Again, I don't know what the restrictions are with bringing, like, rocket batteries or something, but there are things you can do to try and punish the Skaven for this. We are going to see some long rifles open up. I'm going to take a few shots there at the Poison Wind Globes. And I think it's a Master Engineer just, like, poking with his grenade launcher. Right now, this is actually pretty smart for the Empire. Basically, take advantage of their long-range tools to try and poke down as many of these Globadiers and other weapons teams as you can before you get into melee range. There's just one Giselle here to try and counter this, and it's got like 6 different targets, 5 different targets to shoot at, so 4, 5. I can do math. Between the long rifles, Master Engineer just kind of doing some cutting and dodging here. The War Wagons also on the high ground. Yeah, there's only one Giselle, and it can only do so much. So the Empire has plenty of opportunity to take their time, be patient, getting a nice grenade launch on those Night Runners there. Yeah, the Empire Master Engineer's grenade launcher is actually fairly solid DPS, especially for a ranged character. It does much better AoE than a lot of other ranged characters. Ooh, yeah, I like this sniper duel here. Technically, I think the Giselles have an advantage because they do have shields, and I think they have a little bit better damage over 10 seconds, a little bit longer range. So, yeah, unfortunately for the long rifles, they are at a disadvantage here, but the War Wagons are not necessarily taking as much advantage of this as they could. They don't have... Yeah, they're struggling, I think, to maybe find firing arcs here. Try and shoot. Definitely should get in here and just poke whatever they can. But the Knights managed to flank all the way up and around, attacking unsupported, though, into the Globadiers. They do manage to connect on the charge, but cost-wise, that is incredibly inefficient. Plus, the Rat Ogres and the Council Guard are just going to close in there. And yeah, it's not looking great for the Empire. They had a pretty good initial skirmish setup, but it looks like just a few kind of errors in some different engagements. And yeah, now the Rat Ogres actually chasing War Wagons as they got a little bit too close. But honestly, like, even running the War Wagons up and around the side here, I think is kind of unnecessary. Like, you could even keep them somewhat in the front. Skaven can try and run back to screen as much as they want, but eventually you can just, like, bring up your infantry and start smashing into theirs, right? But hindsight 2020, obviously, it's not like, again, they're tabletop builds, so it's not like they can specialize builds for a specific purpose. But grenade launcher, boss, still doing some things. Yeah, I got some more bombardments coming in. Little pigeon bombs there. Fortunately, dodged. But nonetheless, this game is gonna go on for some time. Yeah, the Rat Ogres chasing the Knights off is super painful. They're both Knights of the Blazing Sun too. I mean, it's not like they're necessarily super cheap units to just be losing in that manner. Let's fast forward, as this is going to go on for some time, it seems. It is a conquest, so the objective might come into play if it is like a long kite game, but rarely does the conquest objective even come into play. Empire Knights punching up. Looks like they're going to contact the Poison Globes and then pull back away. Yeah, looks like the Hawklands just kind of chilling for the time being. Really patiently just trying to take out all those weapons teams. And even with losing those two Knights, it's definitely still possible for the Empire to win. It's just, that's a lot of value to have lost out on initially. But yeah, the Globes here continuing to make their presence felt in every replay. But the Master Engineer getting pressured heavily, and Skaven just kind of wanting to press the issue a little bit. They are taking plenty of range damage. And, I mean, damage value-wise, hard to say. I definitely Skaven ahead a little bit at this point, but probably not by too much. But, oh man, those Empire Knights eating another volley. Globes to the face, man. Globes are so dangerous. Such a strong unit, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how the finals go later. I didn't get a chance to watch the other groups' replays. I definitely will be watching Team Boy's stream later, although I don't know if I'll be able to chat a ton, but we're going to see a little dreaded 13th here. Overcast once again to get the Sword and Shield Storm Vermin. That does eliminate the Halberdiers' leadership and just rout them off straight away. Empire Infantry, though, is getting involved, and their quality is decent. But they are going to get quite overwhelmed, and the fact there's still Globes alive, I mean, the Globes by themselves are basically the win condition. Everything else can sacrifice itself as long as the Globes get the damage they need to. That's it. So yeah, in the future, Lucy, I would probably recommend banning Globadiers for this format. Because they are, I would consider, like a very meta unit, and it makes playing against Skaven pretty unfun, in my opinion. I don't know, that might just be my opinion. But yeah, Yeah, they're basically just destroying this entire engagement. The War Wagons trying to do something, but they've been getting zoned out pretty well this whole time. We'll continue fast-forwarding as the Skaven advance here. Rat Ogres getting into the woods. Long rifles. Yeah, they're having a hard time shooting. I don't know, they only used up half their ammunition. They did pay for themselves, actually, but I don't know. Maybe there's a restriction to only bring one long rifle, but would have definitely liked to have had more. And I just think, yeah, getting those knights caught, there's really no reason to charge them in. Just keep the war wagons and the long rifles and the grenade launcher lord shooting. And eventually, you'll be able to pressure them to come to you anyway. But definitely tricky. Little final transmutation there. It's also like the life caster is here. I don't know exactly what he was doing casting Earthblood, but could have saved on that or just, you know, brought some more infantry or maybe a pistolier or something to chase routing units. That pigeon bomb's dropping. Oof, doing a huge amount of damage to the Council Guard, man. Sometimes I forget how much damage the pigeon bombs actually does if you get a good contact with it. But Master Engineer himself is struggling to escape the Rat Ogre's charge. And the Gracier also on his bells. Good enough of a combatant. It's just, yeah, the Poison Winds. Ugh, the Poison Winds. I'm curious to see their value out once the game is done. I'd imagine they probably carried the majority of the Skaven's value here, but we'll see. Get another summoned clan rat there. Yeah, Halberdier once again just getting isolated and blasted by poison grenades. War wagons are going to make their final charge, though. They're going to actually use their mass just to try and body block the poison winds, maybe rout them off, but it looks like the Empire is going to hit army losses there right at around the 10-minute mark. And yeah, that's it. That's going to be it. Just kidding. No, we've got another set of replays to get through. But yeah, you don't really see a lot of value on most things, except then we get to the Globadiers and like, you know, 2 of them, 2x, basically 3 of them, more or less, like 2x their value. One of them, like 1.5x its value. So, yeah, and then the Jezzail's also like 2,000 damage value. So, like I said, Lucy, if you're going to do this format in the future, which I definitely like, I would probably limit Poison Winds to like 1 or 2, or ban them outright. You might not have been here when I was talking about it, but Skaven in this format are going to be the best faction in the game because they have some of the best anti-infantry killing tools in the game, and like it's sort of, in some circles, like it's considered bad practice to bring any infantry against the Skaven, or like you know, non-skirmish infantry, or it just depends on what you're trying to do. But for a lot of factions, like the fact that you have to take 8 infantry units in this format means that Skaven, I think, are at a pretty clear advantage in most matchups. So I know, Poison Wind, cool, but it's also not fun to play against, considering that it kind of just dictates the entire matchups for a lot of factions against Skaven. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. But anyway, let's go on. We've still got XMT versus VM. So we're going to see builds we haven't seen yet in the form of this Tomb King's build. Very interesting. But Goji here with his Ogres that we've seen before. Pretty nice Ogres build, honestly, after all. And I don't know, I'm assuming pigbacks were banned. And Ogre regular infantry units counted as infantry units. Yeah, no worries. That's why I'm happy to provide feedback. But and there are so many factions in the game now that like creating a rule set that hits, and also different people have different tastes too. So, like, trying to create a rule set, you know, for the specific intention, I think he overall did a really good job, but, again, there's no accounting for personal taste. Yeah, it's pretty good overall. It's pretty good. Like I said, the armies I've seen so far have been pretty interesting, but, yeah, this one here, Chosen the Gods right now. Yeah, it makes it harder for elite factions without chaff. Yeah, I'd be curious to see, I don't know, I feel like I'd have to actually think about that one a little bit, because I think like High Elves are the number one example I think about of a faction kind of with that identity, right? And I actually think like a 20 stack of High Elves would probably be fine in this format, honestly. Like, considering, well, maybe like Khorne is another one that their infantry, I mean, they don't have a lot of like super cheap units. They honestly seem to do fine. I think they're just a crazy good faction right now in general. But like, I'm thinking through other factions, Loopy, and maybe you can help me out here. Maybe a good example of a faction that would apply to, maybe Wood Elves. That's definitely one I could see having a struggle with it, perhaps. Again, even High Elves, like, depends on if Lothar and Seaguard apply or not, but, I mean, if you have to take, like, you know, 4 Spearmen, 4 White Lions, or Silver and Guard, that definitely can feel pretty painful, but depends on the matchup. Some matchups, High Elves maybe actually want to do a 20 stack. Anyway, Bulls here getting DPS in the front line before they even really get in contact, but, I mean, it's 500 cost Bull unit. It's not the absolute end of the world. The Lead Belchers are doing okay. I love the Blood Vultures defending against the Carrion. Like the living vultures against the dead vultures. Sky Strider's going to get a nice charge in here. Yeah, it looks like they were going for these Nehekar warriors, but they're instead going to get a face full of Sphinx of Uzek and then have to pull away. Incantation of Cursed Blades there. Upcast to give a little bit of extra anti-large. Unfortunately, is going to get wasted because the Sphinx has to pull out of that engagement. Doesn't over-pursue. Want to stay nice and tight here with all these support units. Goji is a little bit overblobbed with his bulls, but that's fine for now. Doesn't actually need to be. Whoa, look at that volley of throwing daggers. That was quite impressive. the trappers hanging around this flank, trying to get whatever missile DPS they can into the Sphinx. Ooh, nice incantation of Vengeance on the Sky Strider. It's going to do some damage. Won't be the super efficient damage profile, but yeah, Sphinx of Uzek there. Yeah. Chosen the Gods, Eyes of the Desert's doing okay in the backline, taking shots at whatever they can. Goldbag's going to get back to try and interrupt, but Cetra is anti-large on his horse, I believe. Yeah, so he is definitely going to be in for a pretty bad time. You can see the Butcher actually manages to get shoulder to shoulder with him, so they are at least together in this engagement. But yeah, Goldbag took a lot of damage very, very quickly there, and the Sky Strider's also just struggling right now to get through Sphinx of Uzek. Yeah, I haven't seen them performing nearly as well recently. I mean, granted, they had a pretty bad engagement there with all the support pieces, but yeah, looks like this one's going to be over pretty quickly. Yeah, for Skaven, Bretonia, Undead, it's easy. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Yeah. Not looking great. Yeah, Sphinx of Uzek here. It's just completely unopposed. The amount of anti-large, unfortunately. The Sky Striders, yeah, I'm actually quite shocked how poor their performance was. Maybe I just didn't catch how the engagement specifically played out, but it seemed like they probably should have done a little bit better than what they did there, but yeah. Yeah, pretty much all the elites for the Tomb Kings are doing okay. We've got plenty of health on all these different RORs here. Goldbag managed to get a pretty good amount of healing, which is really the only reason why the Ogres are still in this fight, but he's also just, like, struggling to get consistent hits. If any hits on Cetra. Cetra's 50 melee defense, even with being tired. Wow, I forget how crazy his stats are on horseback, honestly. The weapon strength is really the one thing That leaves something to be desired, but blinded on contact definitely helps on his blade there, the Blessed Blade. But yeah, man, like 55 melee defense base. Was that 60 base melee attack? Pretty good, honestly. That's so satisfying in a way. The Eyes of the Desert, just mass volley, just watching that health bar disappear from the Butcher. We can fast forward to this end state as the outcome has been inevitable for quite some time. Yeah, I'm actually, again, kind of surprised with how not great those Sky Striders did there. Yeah. Yeah, not a lot honestly pays for itself on the Ogres, unfortunately. I do think it's a pretty tough matchup for them overall. Tomb Kings have a lot of really nice tools in this matchup right now. Cetron Horseback to 2,000 damage value. And then the Sphinx of Usak as well. Definitely good performance. Doesn't quite fully pay for itself, but Chosen the Gods, Shabti Great Bows also. Really nice value there. Yeah, all the RORs really get the carry. Yeah, Eyes of the Desert also. Really, really nice. Yeah, well, let's go on. We've got, Inkars. Inkars against Freeman. So again, we've seen both of these builds before. Inkar's Squig disruption was almost successful last time, but yeah, the Crimson Killers making their final stand was pretty epic, showcasing earlier, but let's see how they can do. Against this kind of kite-oriented Empire build, I'm a little bit worried about the thinness of the Green Tide here, but they do have plenty of armor-piercing mobility tools with which to chase these war wagons. The Squig Hoppers, I think, can just straight-up catch them. Yeah, pretty easily, too. Granted, they don't want to take too much free missile DPS, so they're going to have to be careful not to just YOLO in there and die. But Wurzag has a few different kind of patches of trees he can hide in to advance here and keep himself safe from the long rifles. Let's see here. Yeah, one board by Biggin way out on the left by themselves. On the other side, we've got quite this mobility kind of overpower here. The Acid Burp, Orc Warboy Biggins, Squig Herds. Looks like one Squig Herd is going to take quite the journey to try and get up and around there, maybe. Try and cut off the War Wagons as they pull back. Some damage. Not too much. Long rifles maybe got like 100 value. Yeah, not even yet. That's it's definitely a target overload situation. Ooh, really nice brain buster there on those halberdiers, and the goblin's going to be getting in. Should be a nice cost-effective engagement for them. I actually don't even know if they have a charge order, but they are nonetheless going to fight. Oh, there we go. Let's see here. Yeah, Squig Hoppers, they're kind of pile into that engagement. I don't know. They might have had an order to pull through, perhaps. I don't think they necessarily meant to just run face first into halberds. But yeah, I see the Boarboy Biggins trying to outmaneuver. Acid Burpa also, and the Swamp Thing's immediately getting into the long rifles. Yeah, you can see the Broken Tusk Mob. And the other Boarboy Biggins able to capture war wagons. This is essential for the Greenskins' victory here, is to remove these armor-piercing kite units. The Knights of the Blazing Sun, you can see charge in for support, but they're going to get then followed up on by Squig Hoppers. Wah being popped. We've got the Acid Burpa doing a rolling rear charge through here, so just massive escalation of funds and power on this flank. We can see Effigy to Git being used here. One war wagon has been bursted down. Another war wagon there also taking massive damage. So it's a really good engagement for Inkars here, as he's able to get a huge break and massive amounts of free damage. Yeah, terror routes on Empire Knights, like over half HP. Really, really good stuff for the Tide. That's exactly what they needed to take a decisive lead only 3 minutes into this battle. Yeah, a few Empire units just kind of hanging around here on this far flank. Those Knights of the Blazing Sun Empire Knights not in a position where they could really help, and it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point. I mean, I'm not trying to call the battle this early, but I pretty much am. I mean, the loss of all 3 war wagons and the Knights also. I mean, there's no way for these Knights. There's so much scary anti-large stuff. There's multiple units of Biggins, Swamp Things, there's Broken Tusk Mob, regular Orc Warboy Biggins, Squig Hoppers, Warzag himself, who is, you know, easily able to catch and kill the Master Engineer here. So, yeah, unfortunately the Empire build really just gets hard countered by what Inkars brought here. And, yeah, I mean, beautifully done. Really nice maneuvering to capture, like I said, those war wagons. Make sure to get them run down. Yeah, nice disruption from the Acid Burpa as well. Swamp Things, Broken Tusk Mob. Just great performance all around for the Greenskins. And Freeman, you know, bless his heart, tried his best, but it just really was overmatched from a build perspective. And that can definitely happen to you in tabletop tournaments where you just... I mean, even more so maybe than regular tournaments. It can definitely happen in regular tournaments too, but yeah, it can be painful. It definitely can be painful. I will say this Empire build is fairly solid, but I would probably make some changes if I were thinking like, okay, I'm potentially going to be fighting like a host of different types of factions, maybe. But sad by Sigmar. Wow, yeah, great job, Inkars. That was a nice one for sure. Really enjoyed that. So let's go to the last one. We've got Berserk versus Stormrunner. Stormrunner's elite Lizardmen contingent versus Berserk's very scary Khorne build. GG's indeed. And don't forget, after this... yeah, I should head on over to Human Boy. I don't know, actually. I should check. I believe he's starting... well, we'll check. Whenever he's starting. I'll post a link to his stream so you guys can go on and check out part 2 of the tournament. The other bracket. And then he'll also be streaming the finals as well. Yeah, Berserk. Taking a nice hill position initially. Looking to assess some things. Stormrunner with the champ build. Yeah, very early we're going to see a brave move by Valkia. I guess since Krokar's not around to try and countercharge her on the ground, she thinks she can just run a quick little cycle charge here. Which, you know, she can. Demon Shield will make her invulnerable as Krok tries to chase her away. But Skull Cannon's going to open up, start to get some value generated already on Star Chamber Guardians. I think it would be so hilarious if she just got locked on the ground by freaking Krok of all things. Yeah, these horned ones got to be careful. They are operating without too much support here. And the gods. Oh, that does some really nice damage against the Hellforge host out there in the open. And the horned ones do manage to actually catch some of these Marauder Horsemen. They're going to do some really good damage, too, in the meantime. Get hit by the Skill Cannon. Skill Cannon, yeah. Skill Cannon there. Man, I wish I got hit by the Skill Cannon. Maybe I'd be better at this game. Yeah, Minotaur's gonna rush in. They do get piled on by all the horned ones. And I'm very curious to see how this engagement goes. Khorne also just gonna throw in all their massively high-value stuff. And the horned ones immediately getting overvalued and overmatched and routed. Although they did some nice damage initially. Yeah, the Shield of the Gods here coming in. Supreme Shield of the Old Ones, I should say. Coming in, but better late than never. It will protect this one unit, at least, from getting completely massacred. But we are going to see some pizza deliveries start to play out. Huge damage on the Hellforge host, on these other Bloodletters. So it's just a matter of how long these Lizardmen units can hold out And, like, I get they wanted to advance under Skull Cannon fire, but at the same time, definitely think Stormrunner needed to maybe stay a little bit tighter here. But Valkia already has an opportunity to get Lord Croak, and Minotaurs also pushing through. Star Chamber Guardians are a halberd unit, so they're going to be slow and unable to quickly assist, and immediately Stormrunner's going to throw in the towel. Oh, man. I understand. It was, yeah, Berserk had, again, very, very good direct counter build for what Stormrunner could bring. I appreciate Stormrunner bringing the champ build, but it was not going to do anything there, unfortunately. With Croak dying, at least. But, yeah, not a lot really to say about that one. It wasn't, like, obviously apparent over the course of the battle. So, yeah. Yes, indeed. Oh, man. That was appropriately brutal for Khorne, I feel. So, yeah, that's going to be it for me for today. Just a relatively quick stream, guys. Yeah, rough for sure. Just an hour, but I will be back with more next weekend. I got to look at my schedule, but I'll try and throw together some kind of stream for next weekend, whether that's Civ 6, or maybe we'll do like a old school, like King of the Hill, try and pull in some of the XMT and see whoever else wants to join. Maybe I'll put out a call, an official announcement for it. But, yeah. Adding up the points, NC advances to the finals. Yeah, figured as much. I mean, they beat XMT in all 3 of their games, right? And they also traded with VM. I think, yeah, NC only lost 1 game, but... yeah, fun format for sure. So, hopefully I get a chance to host again in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Lucy, to putting everything together, organizing the whole thing. And, of course, all the players and participants and all of you once again for watching. If you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all